You can tell somebody's been in a band by how they test their microphone.
Oh, dude, listen, man. I mean, I was in the biz.
It's always a chance for the person in the band who doesn't get to sing or get any attention, a la a bass player, who really eats up the sound check part where they're like, check, 1, 2, and then they quote like a show.
Yeah. I'm doing a lot of talking. I'm doing a lot of, are you sure you can hear me okay?
Yeah.
You have never spoken into the microphone, done any singing. Truthfully, we couldn't go our entire lives without ever hearing you. But for me, it was important that people knew I wasn't just a pretty face in the band.
Right.
I wasn't just a guy who was sort of coming. I'm not really entirely.
Can I get a little more Ramsey in the monitor? It's cutting you off. That's so many bad guys.
Oh, man.
A little more me in the monitor, a little bit less of him.
Yeah, I just want to hear only the bass, and I just want to hear only me. And I actually prefer when I was on stage hearing another band. Could I hear another band coming through the monitor? Let me get somebody better.
Yeah, could you pump a little Sturgill through here, baby?
Just something to just get the blood flowing around
the
here.
Juices, right?
Or
like when the lead. So here's the problem: the bass player who doesn't sing will talk too much into the microphone.
Yeah.
The guitar player who plays lead guitar will check his amp at an unreasonable volume, considering it's going to be mic'd.
Yeah.
I don't understand why the amps have to be so loud on stage if they're mic'd and going through the PA and would just play leads for like 30 minutes. And they're like, yeah, I think we got it, but it's so loud he can't even hear that you got it. Turns around.
Listen, man, it's a life that I'm sad I'll never really experience. Like, is there a part of you that goes like, I'm just never going to experience that level of loserdom? It was a phenomenal level of loserdom.
I couldn't disagree more.
Wow.
My experience in music was like compared to my experience in comedy.
Oh, I see.
Comedy is way more of a losing experience than music. I mean, we were selling out the venues and stuff. Like, it was fine.
Yeah, except for the part with, here's the thing. I understand what you're saying, and I guess this is probably a greater problem with the entertainment industry at whole. You may have been selling out the stadium, but you were the last one getting, or stadium.
Thank you.
Well, maybe. It's funny. I knew you toured in Europe a lot. I'm assuming you performed at some kind of
squats.
Were they all squats?
Yeah, they were all squats.
Oh, of course. So in Europe, is punk the same? Are they the same kind of people? Same? Oh, is it?
They're like finance.
Hold on. What an annoying thing for you to say. Well, yeah, the European market when it comes to punk rock was a lot cooler.
You don't understand, man. Like, first of all, they're like just shitty, petulant children. They're completely financed by the government. All those squats are no longer squats. They all like pay like $1 a month to the city, and then they're looked at as community centers. But they still call it a squat and have banners like bed sheets with spray paint that say like "Fry pigs like bacon" or whatever out of the window. But
meanwhile, they just have the IMF all over the place.
Right. And they're completely sponsored by, they're funded by the government with art grants, all that stuff. Well, they're like, fuck you, man. But they feed you, because they have a budget, they feed you 2 meals. They have really nice places. You get treated like shit when you tour America. Even when you're in a good band, it's still like, some leftover chili from, it's like horrific. But they always assume you're vegan, which is a problem. But I enjoyed touring in Europe so much more. But their music is worse. So it's like doing stand-up comedy over there as well. It's the same thing. They're just so bad
that you look amazing.
That you look amazing.
Well, if there's anything I like, if there's anything I try to encourage the Worst Hour fan base to do, it's to really try to stand out in mediocre pool of talent.
We're talking big fish, small pond type shit.
You could get good, or hear me out, everyone around you could get worse. What's better?
What's the difference? I don't know.
I mean,
I lived in Athens, Georgia, college town. There was a lot of people who played like one person who like played the triangle on one Neutral Milk Hotel song, and he would just walk around like, yeah, I'm the fucking king of this town.
Do you know if Athens, Greece knows about Athens, Georgia? Do you think Athens, they must be pissed, dude. They must be so pissed. Like, what did you guys do to the name of our city? Our city is an amazing place.
Yeah.
And you put gravy on everything.
Vegan gravy.
Oh, Jesus.
You don't know how it's not the Georgia you think it is.
Is Georgia cool now?
Well, Athens has always been like.
Oh, Athens is like
it's like
cool.
the college town. It's crunchy, REM, B-52s. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not the best place for like chicken and grits or whatever.
Sure.
Unless you want tofu chicken with I don't know. I don't even know what they do with grits. Fake shrimp. Is there fake shrimp?
Is grits shrimp?
Shrimp and grits?
Dude, I've never had grits in my entire life. That's one of the things that I'm most shamed of.
Jamie Shirley, 8th grade. We moved to Georgia. Hottest girl in my classroom.
Jamie Shirley is a great, hot girl name for the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm certainly not saying I think now that Jamie Shirley is hot, but to this day, if I meet a woman named Shirley, a Jamie Shirley, I turn my head.
Yeah, she says to me, she said, where'd you move here from? And I was like, I moved here from Maine. She goes, Maine? Where's that? And I was like, it's up north near Boston. And she goes, have you had grits yet? And I go, no. She's like, you haven't had grits yet? And then she brought me homemade grits the next day. The hottest girl in my class. Dude. I thought this move was going to be great. She never talked to me after that.
Why? Wait,
it was like she was a grit ambassador. It wasn't like she had nothing else to say to me for the rest of the year.
She was just trying to...
I was like, I thought I was going to be like a cool kid.
She shot one shot at you, and that was that. And you guys just moved on.
Maybe
with your
I
lives.
ate I don't know if you ever see me eat, but maybe that's where I blew it.
Yeah, one time I saw you eat chow mein. It was one of the worst days of my life. Sometimes when I'm in bed, I still wince thinking about it. I'm like, why is all the slurping, all the sounds? Yeah,
Jamie Shirley never talked to me again. I don't understand what happened, but she did bring me some grits.
We should reach out to her on a professional level. And try to see if we can get her back in studio. Why don't you email us, by the way, worsthouroftheweek@gmail.com. If you know Jamie Shirley, if you're willing to help us get in touch with her. We should try to get her on the pod.
I bet she drowned on one of those Trump boats that sunk this weekend.
A lot of turmoil there, huh? Yeah. Where was that, Florida?
Who knows? Wherever there was a lake, man.
It had to be Florida. It has to be a swing state. It has to be a state that... It's got to be a state, because that's the problem. The problem with all that stuff is it doesn't ever occur in a state where you're like, well, it's fine, or you know what, that's a solid red. It's totally good. It's definitely in a state where you're like, well, that is going to be a...
Hillary Clinton's wearing a cat burglar suit. She's chiseling holes into the boats.
Almost all day, we're surrounded in turmoil all day long, negative news cycle. Sometimes it's hard to, you start to believe that the world is conspiring against you, and not just you, but just general. You lose faith in the whole system. But something I got to remind our listeners to do, and maybe we'll do it here, because we've always talked about this idea of bringing back news, old news.
Yeah.
I was watching 2016 Election Day coverage. And, sometimes you listen and you watch the news and you go, this is all part of some corporate bullshit system. Everybody knows. The system is rigged. Everybody knows everything. Watching NBC News anchors slowly melt down. Watching NBC News anchors kicking in every couple minutes by going like, listen, something strange is happening. Looks like Trump is winning in Wisconsin. However, Agora County did vote for Hillary Clinton, and we all know, hey, they always have a saying, the way Agora goes, that's the way the country goes.
Flora flows.
Yeah. Watching these people slowly wrinkle paper and go, but it doesn't, it's not, none of us knew this could happen.
And also what happened was she took a giant lead out the gate. And then he just pummeled her late at night. And it was very fun. I was with Tyler Gazar, the content creator, that night.
God rest his soul.
I mentioned this on the pod before.
Yeah, before we cremated him and inserted his ashes into this air conditioning unit.
Yeah, before we cursed him into an AC unit.
Yeah, we did, yeah.
Tyler cried when Trump won the election, and he was talking to me. And he was talking to Ben Avery, Tim Dillon's producer, the fellow who's always sitting next to Tim when you watch his podcast. And we were both like, we had nothing to say to him. Like, I was like tapping him on the head, like, it'll be all right, sport. I couldn't have been more disconnected.
Honestly, Tyler, Chuck Todd, Andrea Mitchell, everybody had the same reaction. It was such a, we have to watch it sometime. It's a night worth reliving.
Yeah, I was chill. I was at the Comedy Store. It was fun.
I don't know if I had fun. I do remember it was an evening. I'll tell you what, man. A lot of people, a lot of people not predicting that one except for the Ramdog. So how could I forget that evening?
Right.
You know what I mean? Even if the bar is on fire, you'll never forget that you got a bullseye in the darts, you know?
Absolutely. Like I've always said, negative people think they're fucking Nostradamus.
Yeah, it's true. Well, that's a fair point. It's true. I did predict 15 other horrible things beforehand not happen. That being said, I did make $1,500 that night. It was a time when we were like, what's the worst that could happen?
Oh, that's great, man. Yes. That's great. What'd you do with that $1,500?
Half of it went to
Discover
Planned Parenthood.
Okay.
And
because you were paying for an abortion.
Well, no, I just felt bad, you know. So I put half to Planned Parenthood, and the other half I gave to the Catholic Church. So I made them
playing both sides.
You know what I mean?
That's you to a T.
I just wanted to watch. I wanted to, get the wall of death really built, you know. Mm-hmm. But hey, welcome to the worst hour of the week, folks. Actually, I've rebranded it Worst Hour Podcast. I mean, what do you think about that, Brian? Should we just go by the Worst Hour Podcast? People already know we exist within the, time frame of a week. It's absurd.
Worst Hour Pod.
Just keeping it short. It's not like
WHP Studios.
If I tell people, hey, we're at the worst, this is the worst hour, they don't go, wait, of what? Of the month? Of the day? They get it.
What if we did one podcast a year and we'd really spend all 364 days trying to curate the worst hour of your year?
Yeah.
Where if you listen to it,
that would be...
It ruins everything for you.
I mean, you're describing the Holy Grail. We could give it a try. That'll be something we do for the Patreon.
Here it is, folks. We've been working 364 days.
We've accumulated the worst hour of content that you could possibly hear this year.
It's just an Edward Snowden podcast.
It is, without a doubt. Edward Snowden is the worst. Any podcast, there's no human who knows more information and can really give it to you in a less interesting way.
Edward Snowden, Jordan Peterson, and Roseanne.
Yeah, this is like Johnny. If I was doing my Johnny Carson bit, where I'd hold up the envelope to my hat,
the Swami,
and I'd. What are the worst 3 guests on Rogan this year?
And the winner is Tony Hinchcliffe.
Well, hey, my name is Ramsey Badawi. I'm the big-ass Ramdog, Thai-Town Shake. Joining me as always, co-host, Bryan, Big Business Vokey, Mr. Steal Your Girlfriend's Car.
That's right.
What do you think about that? I've already trademarked it. I've spent almost $8,000 on merch in China.
Well, then I got to go with it.
You got to go with it, I think.
That's fine. I mean, if you put the investment in.
That's sort of how I believe, is I go, put the investment in first, think about it later.
And then pitch the idea.
I tell people all the time, I go, listen, when I'm trying to get you in on my project, you know what I've decided? I think our listeners, we've always been looking for names to give them at the Worst Hour Nation. Mm-hmm. Slipknot fans are maggots. That's
you're out ideas. That's it.
It's really the only. It's so funny when you start talking and you do a sentence and you go, oh shit, I don't have the second sentence
what about
here. Deadheads. You know what our fans are going to be called? What? Shareholders.
Right.
And it's going to go great until you and I inevitably get wrapped up in the Ponzi scheme. Mm-hmm. Then it's going to be like, oh my God, look at this video of them calling their fans shareholders.
Dude, we would get wrapped up in a Fonzie scheme.
What's a Fonzie scheme?
We invested jukeboxes.
Dude, we're like, it's
nobody fucking wants them.
Dude, we're hanging out in Highland Park. We see it, man. We see it.
Real analog 45 7-inch record jukeboxes.
Yeah. We never get one album in there because you're too busy critiquing the albums. Mm-hmm. You're telling the guy, you're like, this, I don't know, man. Their first album sucked, dude.
Yeah, I know. James Jamerson wasn't even on this one. Yeah, I'm in 2 arm casts because I keep trying to elbow the thing into playing in front of girls, and I break my elbows. And I have those poles coming from my hips to my arms, and my arms are just out.
Yeah, that's one of the things we never realized was going to happen is when things became all digitized, it's like, now you can't impress women by hitting stuff and getting it to work.
I know. It's called percussive maintenance.
Yeah, man.
They taught us that in the military when I was getting trained to fix equipment that we were using to spy on the world.
Yeah.
They're like, sometimes the only answer is percussive maintenance.
And to be clear, Bryan was not in the military in the 1940s. This was 2006, 2007.
Yeah.
I mean, this is pretty deep in.
5. I was out in 5. I'm an old man.
Yeah, I'm holding out. I think eventually Apple develops their own military and they just take over the United States military completely.
Right.
You know,
it'll be the cutest little military.
It'll be adorable, but they'll do some massively dangerous stuff. They'll come out, but they'll be sweet. They'll be waving, you know, a good, you know, good vibes flag.
Right.
But it'll be
a little robot that's like dabbing as it gives you the brown tone.
Oh,
it
totally.
Just incapacitates you and diarrheas yourself, and it's like doing the stanky leg.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, but that's so fun, though. How can we...
A cute little robot.
How can we hate these guys? I want to put it out there. worsthouroftheweek@gmail.com. Shoot us an email. We're looking for a producer. That's the new call here. The new call to arms. So email us. You know, if you're interested, because you know, I think the worst hour we're growing as a unit, and so, and if you think about it, Bryan, and if you really consider, you know, equity, it's actually the best paid position in the show.
Oh, for sure it is.
Yeah, I mean, sure, technically Bryan and I are getting paid the cash, but what's that going to be worth?
Yeah, that's just paper, baby. We're paying you in silver.
We're paying you in silver. We're telling you, listen, when the war is over, this is going to be worth something. What Bryan and I are getting, oh, God, this is the worst.
I'm taking authentic buffalo head nickels and I'm filing them down to get the silver shavings.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna give the producer like a teaspoonful of silver shavings at the end of every episode.
Exactly.
Legend has it, Abraham Lincoln owned this nickel.
I'm going to take the Patreon and I'm going to purchase JFK quarters, or not quarters, the
50-cent pieces.
No, there's even worse than the 50-cent piece is at least tender. It's legal tender. There's like you can order the commemorative coin, the JFK commemorative coin, and you get it in the mail. Like you get the ad for it, and if you order it, it specifically says like, just so you know, this is worth no money whatsoever. But
so
someday,
rendering the word coin a little useless.
Someday you will remember. You'll want to remember JFK.
They're like, you can play skee ball at Dave & Buster's with this. It will get you 5 games. That's about all it's worth.
A tremendous amount of our society and our GDP is just people tricking old people. It's true. It's such a horrible. Who else?
That's why Nigeria is the richest country in Africa now.
Because they're just tricking old people. I mean, you know, hey, good for them.
Yeah.
It's a hustle.
Doesn't bother me. I don't give a shit about old people.
Whoa, dude. we just got.
I'm just so young. I can't even imagine myself being old.
We just got back the analytics, man. Most of our fan base is growing in 65 and up right now.
Yeah.
So,
what's that neighborhood in Florida that is like has like 400,000 old Republicans living there?
Yeah.
They get around in golf carts.
We have a show next week right there.
The Villages. Have you heard of this?
I have heard of the Villages before. I didn't realize it was it's a senior retirement.
It's a world though. Multiple golf courses, multiple restaurants. It's all within the confines. And like Glen Beck will go there and he'll draw like, it'll look like that Queen concert where Glen Beck is doing like 100,000 people in the Villages in Florida.
Glen Beck just dipped out, man. He was a real part of my life in 2011. He was on the radio, all over TV. I constantly had to see him in front of a chalkboard writing things out.
Yep.
Pointing at a picture of Barack, getting it to a picture that says communism.
Yeah. Yeah, because if you guys don't remember Glenn Beck, he was the CNN guy first.
Oh, that's right. He was a mainstream media guy.
And then he went Fox. He went rogue at Fox, and then he got the goatee, and it was over.
Once he got the goatee. I mean, at that point, I lost my girlfriend. I lost my mom. My mom started dating him. I mean, this guy was just getting chicks. Talk about WAP. It was initially written when Glenn Beck got the goatee.
Exactly.
That was the first time I ever experienced a WAP.
White ass pudding ring.
Yeah. White ass pudding ring is good times, dude. Glenn Beck, man, he was the original like guy who kind of like because he was always doing like he was purely online with the Blaze. Remember?
Yeah.
He would always have like. He was the original, like, alt-right content.
Right. He was like, he was the guy who couldn't make it, you know? Like, he was in a ring of people who all had their time in the sun. Bill O'Reilly had his time in the sun. Rush Limbaugh still has his time in the sun. And then, you got Sean Hannity, who for a while was number one, and Tucker Carlson took over him. Glenn Beck never could really push it to that next.
Yeah, but he was the first guy to build, like, the Patreon model. You know what I mean? So that's why a lot of people have compared us in the same class as the man.
Right.
I mean, other than
maybe
that,
he could produce us.
I've reached out to him.
You have?
What if we had Glen Beck
Just
in the room with
in
us?
a chair,
never on camera,
just staring at us in a chair.
Just had Glen Beck looking at us. Glenn, would you mind pulling that up on? We're trying to figure out exactly what Joe Rogan said. Glenn, we need to know what Joe Rogan said about refried beans. Could you pull it up?
Oh, yeah, we're talking about whether or not refried beans are actually refried. Glenn's like, whoa, what the hell did I do wrong? He really needs the $20 an episode.
Whoa, $20? Jeez, dude.
Sorry.
You quadrupled the pay while I was gone?
Sorry. You know, I have a little Bernie in me. I have a little bit of a living wage thing going, and I apologize.
That's you know what? The worst hour model, actually, our intern is the one who gets paid the most. Yeah. That's our model. So that's how we do things.
Listen, it's called worst hour. It's an hour's of work. We give you $15. That's a living wage. $15 an hour.
Absolutely.
Ask Tulsi.
I can't think of anything worse than the idea of getting $15 an hour. You know, 15 just for 1 hour of my time, $15.
Yeah, there should be a 3-hour minimum, right?
Dude, 3-hour minimum, bro.
Cleaners do that. I have cleaners come in here because I can't do it. I have a lot of flashbacks in the military when I have to clean in it.
Yeah, Bryan you never, if you live in Los Angeles, you ever drive by those vans that say topless cleaners?
Yeah.
Hey, Bryan calls twice a week. Hank gets nervous and hangs up.
All right, put one of these voices on. How much for a topless cleaner?
She's smoking, or whoever's picked up. He calls 3 times a week.
They're like, Mr. Vokey,
you really can't do this to us anymore. We've actually spoken to the police.
We've told you it's $300.
Is there a veterans discount?
What is that? Do you try to get the veterans discount
every single place
time?
I go to? Liberal California, I've never been denied the veterans discount more than I have in this state.
Yeah, actually, in certain parts of California, I imagine
there's a surcharge.
Yeah, they're like, "What'd you do?
You go to Beverly Hills.
You did what?" That's an extra 10%.
Oh, that's a baby killer fee. We actually the veterans discount we call a baby killer fee.
Yeah, we basically take the 10 cents and we give it to Antifa. So please, sir. What's the wackiest thing you think you ever got your veterans discount on?
Cleaners.
Oh, cleaners do it.
No, there's a Mexican woman down the street, and she's the sweetest lady. And I talked to her, and we're on the phone, and I'm like, "You're in the neighborhood." I was like, "Oh, I'd love to spend the money in the neighborhood." And she's like, "Yeah, we live right down the street. That's great. Well, I'll send 2 cleaners over." And I was like, by any chance, she's like, she has no website or anything.
No, she's got nothing. She shows up in a Toyota Tercel from the 1920s.
I pulled the number at the laundromat off one of those pieces of paper that has like all the phone numbers on it at the bottom.
Yeah. Bryan had to sift through a bunch of missing children papers.
I'm just throwing them on the floor. Is there any cleaners in here?
He's just throwing them away. Not even on the floor. He's crumbling them, putting them away.
And then throwing them into a washing machine. But I pulled her number out, and she was like, "It's a 3-hour minimum for 2 cleaners." And I was like, "Is there any chance you have a military discount?" I'm assuming I'm assuming this woman's experience with law enforcement, federal law enforcement. I don't know how she got here. Maybe she's born here. Judging by her accent, I don't think she was.
Sure.
I'm sure Border Patrol probably had some traumatizing moment in her life. And I was like, let me just swing for the fences here. Do you have a military discount? And she goes, how about $10? And I was like, you've got a deal.
I love that. I like that she was like, you know what? I didn't have one. I never even considered it, but you know what? I'd like the cut of your jib, kid.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you got to ask.
Do you think she'll give me a discount? I was in the military, not the United States one, but I won't mention which one. But
we never discussed countries.
That's the problem.
Between me and her, we never discussed countries. Yeah. So I don't necessarily think that she cares where you're from.
I was for a little while. I was part of the Iranian National Guard. So you know, if it's open, I'll take it. If not, no biggie.
Yeah, no. What do their uniforms look like?
They have a good uniform, I think. They got good uniform, berets. It's a good uniform.
Cat Williams has the best joke about bombing Iraq, where he goes, "Let me ask you this:
Yeah.
What does the Iraqi uniform look like? Go ahead, I'll wait.
Yeah, it's really good.
I love that.
We out there killing people in cowboy hats and flip flops. Good stuff, man. He's a good.
That leads into what we have in front of you.
Yeah, well, Brian, this is a wonderful use of the Patreon funds here that you had. You gifted a deck of playing cards here. I see a desert camo color, which is always wonderful. So it's going to be fun times.
Yeah, the deck of cards. It's a typical bicycle. I think Bicycle made it.
Yeah, yeah. Bicycle must be really so.
No, Hoyle.
Okay, so these are we got a deck of playing cards here. I tossed you that Joker over there because the Joker gives you all the information that you want here. Bryan purchased a little gift for me, and I got to tell you, I've never been more grateful in my life for anything. A deck of the Iraqis' most wanted. What are they? Fugitives? What did you call them? What, warriors? The soldier?
Enemies?
Tribe? I don't really know, but it's the deck of cards that George Bush used to always use whenever he took out terrorists. It was a simpler time. Again, if you're listening to this podcast and you're younger than 25, what you don't understand is, before TikTok and stuff showed up, people needed to step their game up in order to entertain us with news.
Right. Well, I think honestly these are for soldiers.
Oh, these are for soldiers.
Soldiers who are in Iraq. So what they are, they're a deck of playing cards, and instead of having the diamonds or the suits on them, what they have pictures of the most wanted Iraqi nationals. And it was for soldiers who are over there deployed playing cards because you can't drink or anything over there. And then it also keeps the face recognition pretty quick for the soldiers. So if you see a guy,
so if you're hanging out and you're like, oh my God, that guy looks just like Amir Rashid Muhammad El Ubadi, you'd know right away that was him. Mm-hmm. Of course, a lot of great looking guys on here. My personal favorite, of course, being Sabawi Ibrahim Hassan El Takridi. Look at this guy, man. I mean,
that guy looks. That picture. I mean, it's crazy that. This is only 2003 that we went into Iraq, March of 2003.
Yeah.
And these pictures, like the technology has changed so much. This picture looks like it was taken in 1968 of this guy, Sabawi Ibrahim Hassan El Takridi.
Well, my honest to God guess is a lot of these guys had two pictures taken of them their entire lives.
Right.
Once then, and then once after they were killed to confirm who it was that person.
Do you think that these guys, this guy was a presidential advisor. How much advising do you think Saddam Hussein would take from somebody?
Yeah, I got to believe whenever Saddam was in the mix, it was more like a presidential. It was,
professional yes man.
It was a professional yes man. I don't believe it was much advising happening at all. I think it was like a group of people that Saddam just went like, I think I'm going to run a couple ideas by you guys. You tell me which one you hate the least.
I mean, there's no more guaranteed this job will kill me.
Yeah.
Than being a dictator's advisor.
Your life could go a lot of places, right? I feel like if I was, for example, here's the man himself. Of course, he's the ace of spades.
Nice Motorhead, dude.
That's Saddam Hussein. Of course, the ace of clubs. You got is that Uday?
No, that's Qusay.
Uday and Qusay, those two wild cards, and of course the ace of hearts is Uday.
Yeah, do you remember when they got Qusay and Uday? That was one of the first times I've ever seen in America because they changed after Vietnam War. They used to show war footage from Vietnam, and they were like, "Oh, this is upsetting people in the protest. Let's just not show the crimes."
Yeah, it's like ultimately, I think people also realized who are on the upper level of things. They went like, it's going to be really hard to get them to be okay with us being inside of other countries if they see what we're doing,
yeah.
Maybe we should just not. Maybe we should, instead of showing them footage of us in Iraq, we should just show them a movie.
right.
We should just get Tom Cruise to do a thing. Yeah, Tom Cruise could do a thing in Nicaragua. Whatever.
Yeah. I think Black Hawk Down led to me joining the military.
Yeah. A lot of that, I think Zero Dark 30 is also another possible fact that might not be true. This might be going to our long list of tow truck driver facts, but
right.
I feel like the government puts money into some of those movies.
Oh, for sure. All those Michael Bay productions are like DOD.
We got to get them to throw some into this podcast,
I know.
dude.
I'm happy. Let's get back in Syria, folks.
Let's talk about it. Whatever you want us, whatever you guys want our talking points to be, you can send them up to us. We're in the middle of talking about how hot a chick is, and we're like, but seriously, guys, have you thought about the importance of military bases in South Korea?
Right. You'll know how we're getting paid where if we no longer say China, we say communist China.
Yeah, exactly.
I watched Pompeo. Mike Pompeo is like Putty from Seinfeld. Like that's what he sounds like when he talks. But he always catches himself missing out the talking points where he'll go, we had a long talk with China, communist China.
Yeah.
Because you could tell he was trained to say communist China exclusively.
Mike Pompeo, of course, is the Secretary of State. It's funny you bring up Mike Pompeo. He is the Secretary of State. He is in the line of succession if something occurs with the president. Do you know what the line of succession is? A lot of people don't know. We're talking, of course, a lot of people with the upcoming election, they're saying Joe Biden. They're thinking a lot about, the possibility of him being a transitional candidate.
Or, Kamala Harris, maybe a year in.
So do you know what the line of succession is for the president?
I can't get past, I don't know what the fourth one is. It goes president, vice president, speaker of the House. No. Senate majority. No, Speaker of the House.
Speaker of the House is number 3. Number 4 goes to the president pro tem of the Senate. And then... and
that's Mitch McConnell, right?
No, that is Chuck Grassley. Grassley. Yeah.
Hello, it's your president, Chuck Grassley. That sounds like a Simpsons news anchor.
It's one of those things where people don't realize we are all dangerously close at this moment to having a president. We don't know his name.
Yeah.
We're so close to being like in a place. That's what I think this whole list, a succession list, is outdated.
Is he a Democrat?
I think he's a Republican, Chuck Grassley.
Because that's great for like the Green New Deal. Like the green is always grass.
Yeah.
Or something.
The other way around. Yeah, I liked where your head was at. The grasslier is always greener.
The grasslier. So, what's his name?
Chuck Grassley. He's the Senate pro tem. He is a senator from Iowa, and he's in his 7th term. Mm-hmm. And I literally just learned today that this is the man who's fourth in line, and I've never heard of him before. We should update that.
Ironically, his name's Grassley, but he's actually he's a stalk of corn. He's a he's stalk of corn.
Can we? Here's my thought about this: is after the vice president, let's just give it to Jeff Bezos. I don't really know why. What
he doesn't want to take that less. That's a downgrade in power.
If you're a trillionaire, I'm sorry, you just got to do it. It's not up to you at this point. If you're at the list that he's on, sorry, it's you. I don't want it to go to Chuck because it would go to Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Grassley, and Mike Pompeo. Those are the next 3. What? Wow. That seems crazy.
Yeah, it seems like.
By the way, if it gets to Chuck Grassley, I'm not going to list.
Things have gone wrong.
if it gets to Chuck Grassley on the list, I don't care who's president. You might as well make the guy from the black president from 24 the president. That's
right. They're just like, all right, Morgan Freeman.
We're just putting anybody
been training
in here
for this for years.
I don't even care at this point. If we've gotten to Chuck Grassley, I am not paying attention to who the president is. Mm-hmm. Society is crumbling.
Right.
Everybody has died in that line of succession.
If we get to Chuck Grassley, then our new leader is Xi Jinping.
Yeah, at that point.
At that point, that's who our leader is.
At that point, your leader is whoever's the nearest person near you's got a gun.
Right.
Anybody you've met with biceps is your leader. You do not worry about responding to President. What's his name again? I feel like his name is Charles.
Dick?
It's going to be a lot of that. Yeah. You're going to see news anchors. You're going to see people on the news talking. Lesser Holt. He's going to be like, so President...
Chuck? Chuck is a terrible president. He's got to go to Charles.
Yeah, he's got to go to Charles.
If he's going to be president.
He's got to go to Charles.
What's his position? President pro temp?
Yeah. So he's the, in terms of the
temporary.
The Senate, he's for temporary. No, I don't think
that's the Latin. Is that the Latin translation?
It might be it. Yeah, he's the most senior member of the Senate. He's like the Speaker of the Senate, essentially.
Oh, that's great because I'm glad they wrote it into the Constitution where they're like, let's get the oldest person possible.
Yeah, or I don't know if it's an elected position. I don't know anything about. I don't know if you vote. Once you get to Senate and Congress, I'm not sure how any of that stuff works.
Nobody votes.
No, I don't think so.
So when I gave Ramsey this deck of Iraqi wanted cards, the first thing he said, he's like, "Oh my God, me and my dad are going to connect so hard on this."
Yeah, dude. My dad would. I still have not taken him home to him yet, but I should. He'd probably get a huge kick out of this, man. He'd probably pick up one of these. By the way, only woman on here, Huda Sully Mahidi Amash.
Is she a babe?
She's a WMD scientist. You tell me, man. I mean, this is definitely a worst hour babe if I've ever seen one.
Yeah.
I mean, well, I don't really like the tone your voice took there.
She's let's just say she's no Noor Bin Laden.
Wow, we'll get into that in a minute. But listen, man, you got to understand. She came from a different world. She's, she's kind of in a boys' club. Think of her that way. She's sort of their Tulsi,
It's funny. It's funny that the names of these cards read like the 2021 lineup for Comedy Central half hours.
Yeah, I mean it's a good diverse group. Yeah, you're totally right about that.
Like they respect your people at all.
They do. They absolutely do, man. I like that with these cards. By the way, some of them they couldn't never get a picture of the person, so they just literally gave you the guess who's.
Yeah, it's the guess who silhouette.
Yeah,
it's just a black silhouette. I would just. Dude, if I was in Blackwater or some shit, I would just go kill some guy and be like, yeah, that's Rafi Abd El Latif Tilfa El Takriti. There's a lot of Takritis.
So
Takritis.
I gave you that Joker card because that Joker card, you may have handed it back to me. It is a breakdown. If your last name ends in El Takriti, or it means that you're from that tribe. So you're gonna probably
because Tikrit is a city in Iraq.
And so
Iraq.
El Takriti. Thank you so much. I agree.
Yeah.
Thank
you love
you.
when white people say Iraq and Iran?
I just generally love when white people update the way they say certain things. I mean,
Chile.
I used to say Pakistan, not anymore.
Pakistan?
Now it's Pakistan.
Pakistan.
Afghanistan is another good one.
Do you say Afghanistan? That's too uncomfortable, man.
I'm trying to get ahead of the curve.
You sound like a vice journalist. Afghanistan.
I'm telling you, I stay at home all day. Here's what I do all day: is I stay home and I look at country names and I go, how can I try to pronounce this in a more authentic way?
Do you say? I don't say Ivory Coast. I say Cote d'Ivoire.
Well, I don't. I try not to say any other country besides the one that I know that I'm gonna nail. So
right. Cote d'Ivoire.
There's many countries I've never even read out loud. So no idea. Anything in Central America? What am I gonna try?
Belize?
I mean, if you want to take a swing at it, that's your own funeral.
I always wanted to move there because their national language is English.
Is that true?
Yeah, that's kind of how I plot my moves.
Yeah, I feel the same way. That's why I was thinking about moving to Arizona.
Is their national language English?
Well, I heard there's a lot of Arabs over there, so I'm trying to hang out near more Arabs, but in America.
That would make sense. I mean, the weather's pretty similar
in Arizona.
Yeah,
that's probably true.
Are there coyotes in Iraq?
I'm not entirely sure what animals. I guess it's a desert. Is coyotes a desert thing? I don't really even know, man.
I wonder what kind of animals are walking around Iraq. Those are unlucky animals.
I gotta tell you right now. In terms of the animals, in terms of where you could be in life,
oh man,
you could be one of those bunny rabbits who lives in the shrubs of Beverly Hills,
right?
Or you could be one of those jacked, ripped rabbits that live in the desert of Iraq. You know those really buff rabbits,
the six-pack rabbits.
They have that hot V.
Yes.
You're looking at this jackrabbit and you're going, I'm kind of torqued right now, dude. Yeah. This thing is freaking hot, dude.
He's just bench pressing carrots.
He's wearing a beret. He's wearing a security earpiece in his ear.
He's got acorns on each end of his carrot.
Yeah. Super vascular leg. Just amazing. On his calf, there's a tattoo that says "Mom" with a heart and an arrow going through it. Just an amazingly scary animal.
Yeah, those are the ones who found Saddam. If you remember correctly, the Iraqis found Saddam, and then the Americans shoved him back in the hole so that they could be the ones who pulled him out.
Is that story true?
It's 100% true. I know for a real. I really know. that's true.
The reason
I can't really violate my contract, but I'll just say this: I super know that that's true.
The reason why I'm so bummed out about that is even in the movie House of Saddam, the Americans found him.
Yeah, the Fourth ID shoved it. Yeah, it's so funny. We're liberating this country, and then they finally liberate themselves their own dictators. And they're like, shove that cocksucker back in that hole. Let's pull him out.
When I was a kid and I used to lose my things, my mother would place them in a place so that I could find them myself. So sort of similar.
Is that like it's empowering?
Yeah, like it's empowering. Like let him do this one.
Yeah, but imagine if you found it and then she goes, put it back there, and then she goes, no, I found it.
She goes, put it back there. She calls my dad.
Yeah, exactly.
He goes, let him have this one.
Let him have this one. Yeah, because remember they got in trouble. They toppled the Saddam statue. They wrapped the American flag around his head, and then they were like, no. And they were like, oh, my bad. And then they wrapped the old Iraqi flag around his head. The pre-Saddam flag.
Dude, talk about.
It's a bad look.
I'm not one of the guys who likes to jump down people's throat for being tone deaf. You know, I oftentimes see that you make a mistake, but that one was a rough one.
Yeah, dude.
That was a rough one, man.
I was in during all of that. We got him. That's what my platoon leader said.
Yeah,
we got him.
Did you guys? How you had been out by the time Bin Laden was killed, right?
Yeah, Bin Laden was killed like in the second term of Obama, right?
Yeah, 2000. It was right after. It was he was being killed during like the second correspondence dinner or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
I was just swimming in the ocean the other day in Malibu, and I was just laughing to myself. It'd be like so funny if, like Saddam, like if a skeleton with a dialysis machine hooked up to it washed up in front of me. Where I'm like, oh, that's Osama's skeleton.
They left the machine attached to him.
That's how you know it's him.
Yeah, because they just kicked him off the. Allegedly, they just kind of give him a burial at sea, right?
Yeah. They threw him off a ship or out of a plane or something.
Yeah, because they were like they didn't want to make his burial
They didn't want to
site
make him a martyr. They said some shit. It's like, dog, he's already a martyr. What are you talking about?
Well, except now we just congregate to the Atlantic Ocean and we renamed it the Ocean of Osama. So
the Atlantic Osama.
Yeah. So. Sort of backfired on you. We gave him a little more.
A skeleton, a 7-foot skeleton with a head wrap on it washes up.
Yeah, I would think he would have been pretty easy to find as the only 7-foot person in that part of the world, but I guess it was challenging, man.
Dude, to be able to stay hidden that long on dialysis, dude, mad respect.
Mad respect, man.
Mad respect to Osama. I mean, you gotta.
Game
respects game. Actually,
though, if you really think about it, it's like I'm with you on this one, except for the part where you're like, yeah, anybody can hide with $50 million. If you give me $50 million, I can make myself disappear anywhere.
But I don't know if mobile dialysis was possible
with $50 million over there. Remember what I told you? Remember I told you what $1,000 a month could do for you over there?
No. I know, but I don't know if the technology exists to do that. Like, no matter how, I don't know if fucking Jeff Bezos at that point could have gotten
at that point in history
mobile dialysis. So there's moments where he had to sit still, no matter what, for like 12 hours.
Yeah.
Pretty impressive shit.
I mean, listen, we've done a lot of things on this podcast. We're not trying to take any credit away from Osama Bin Laden. The man was a hard worker.
I like to focus on the good things about people.
This is not a negative news show.
No, the guy was a hard worker. He got things done.
People really. I mean, you know what? People listened to him. That was the other thing. It's a hard thing to do.
Dude, you're talking about a guy that had no real military, but was still figured out an Air Force and a Navy.
I mean,
with no military. I mean, he was basically like the cool hipster thrift store military, where he's like, all right, I'm going to get a used plane.
I mean,
I never used boat.
I never thought anybody. To me, wearing a military jacket was not cool until he did it.
Right. Freaks and geeks, suck my dick.
Yeah,
nobody cares about that.
When Osama started wearing it,
Bob Marley.
I was like, this is cool.
Bob Marley disgracing the U.S. Army jacket by smoking weed in that thing. I was furious.
Is that true? Hold on. Hey, man, we do a lot of joking on this show, but did he really do that?
He was smoking weed in a U.S. Army jacket on stage.
Oh, my God. What a disgrace.
Disgrace to this country.
What a sad...
See, at least when Osama put on a military jacket, he actually fought war. He didn't smoke no peace grass.
Whose jacket do you think Osama was wearing? Did he buy a new one?
He got it at a Goodwill on Sunset Boulevard.
He purchased it ironically.
I mean, that's like, you ever buy clothes that change your lifestyle?
Oh, totally.
Maybe he got that jacket. Maybe he was just like a degenerate oil guy who was like fucking hookers and skitching on the back of cars in metal shoes through the desert and doing all the shit that those other like rich oil kids do. And then he bought the military jacket and he's like, and somebody's like, that doesn't really work for you. And it hurt his ego. Some girl, a hot girl, was like, he's like, what do you think of my new jacket? And she's like, it's not working for you. He goes, I'll fucking show you.
Yeah. I do empathize with that. I bought a vest one time.
Do you juggle now?
No, it was, come on, man. It was a cool vest.
Oh.
Well, it was one of those cool vests. It was a cool vest, dude. I put it on. I put on fingerless gloves. I started driving a cab. It was a cool vest, dude.
You sound like a professional wrestler.
Well, my life changed after that, my friend.
Yeah,
So,
sure.
Before we go any further into the show, I do want to take this opportunity. We allude to it. We talk about it during every episode. You know, it's time. We got to do it, man. We need to plug our Patreon.
Yeah, I mean, you could look at it like that, or you could look at it as like it's another chance for you to seize on an opportunity of a lifetime.
Yeah, when I say we need to plug our Patreon, I'm not saying that in the sense of like, we need to do it. I'm saying it in the sense of like, how did Mark feel when he heard the gospel for the first time? You know,
Zuckerberg.
Yeah. When Mark Zuckerberg heard the gospel,
That's the guy from the Bible, right? Mark Zuckerberg.
The Bible is about Mark. Yeah, that's his.
And then there's Jeff. Jeff Bezos.
Jeff Bezos,
the apostle,
of course, and of course, no one can forget the Book of Steve.
Right. Well, that's what Job was.
Yeah,
originally Steve Jobs. It got messed up in translation.
Honestly, Brian, not too bad, man. To pull Job on that one, the Book of Jobs. $5 a month, you get a bonus episode every month. Just classic moments like this. I mean, a lot of the stuff. What I love about the Patreon is you get moments that are just like this, man. They're authentic. They're real. They have a heart. You know, a lot of our listeners talk to us. They talk to us about how once they get behind the paywall, they go, I can't believe for the dollar per heart ratio that we're purchasing.
Right.
And I say that meaning like not only does the show have heart, but that we will give you access to a live human heart market.
In an igloo cooler.
It'll be $3,000 behind the paywall.
And it'll be harvested from the healthiest hearts you've. I mean, you see these hearts and you say, I've never seen a heart this healthy.
You go, this guy, what was Hussein Bolt's heart?
Did you call him Hussein?
I give him Hussein. We were talking about Saddam Hussein.
Right.
Is it Usain?
It's Usain Bolt.
Well, you know, I got to find out what the origin of Usain is. I'm willing to bet.
It was probably Hussein when he was born.
Yeah, exactly.
And then magically the H disappeared.
Yeah. Well,
after Obama.
Of course. Please enjoy this 1-minute clip from our most recent Patreon episode. That's what's great about Live Nation is when you buy the tickets, you sign the waiver immediately. Relieves Bryan and I of any sort of legal liabilities.
What's the Palestinian Live Nation called?
Palestinian Live Nation? Palestinian Live Non-Nation.
Right, live occupied territory.
Yeah, Palestinian Live Observer State.
Right.
Doesn't
it really ring?
Can you believe that the United Nations had the nerve to give us a observer state status? Meaning, like, we're basically allowed to watch. So y'all are allowed to watch the rules be made. Just so you know, if you show up,
it's essentially bring your daughter to work day.
If you show up, if you're a diplomat from the Palestinian territories and you show up to the UN, your desk doesn't even have pen or paper. They're like, it's fine. You're not gonna.
They don't give you the headphone that translates.
Yeah.
You don't need to hear this.
What's really nice is they give you the phone. The phone doesn't lead anywhere, but it's fun to have. If you say it's fun to have, you can pretend it says, you look at it, it says 1 president, 2, so
your name placard is handwritten.
It's handwritten. It's written with magnetic tiles.
Children letters on a refrigerator.
Yeah, it looks like a ransom note. It's a really.
Does the representative from Palestine have anything to say?
Yeah.
Everybody laughs.
All right, everybody. Hey,
wrong one.
Everybody laughs, right? Now, half the audience laughs, and then half the audience, that has the translation headphones on, they wait, and then they laugh.
Then they laugh, yeah.
All right. For the second half of the show, got a couple great news stories here. Just some old school stuff, you know. We figured we'd go into. I kind of want. We've been deep diving lately. I figured let's just keep it cash on this episode, you know. You saw, of course, Osama Bin Laden's niece has come out as a Trump supporter. Any thoughts on that particular story?
Well, what's funny about it is that she's more than that. She's a QAnon girl.
Is that true?
Yeah.
I didn't see that part.
I went
of the
on her
story.
Instagram. She hashtags QAnon on every one of her pictures. And it's just like, what is going on with the Bin Ladens? Why are they just so fucking extreme?
Well, you know, it's what if you think about it. What else would if you were a Bin Laden child and you were rebelling against your family? What else would you do besides love America? I mean, that's what she like. If you read a lot of her, the niece we're referring to here is a woman by the name of Noor Bin Laden. She's a Swedish model. She is.
She is a model.
She's a model
because she's a piece of ass.
She's fairly. You know, it's funny. I can of course say that she's a good looking woman. As an Arab, I see her and I go, you know, you just sort of look like my cousins and stuff. You know,
right?
It's
That's hot though. You don't want to fuck your cousins. That's not an Arab joke. That's more just like cousins are hot.
I guess that's a fair point. I mean, look, you know, she looks. I'm more of a fan of her sister. We'll talk about her sister in a second.
Oh, she's got a sister.
Of course, man. Everyone's. The one thing I didn't care for in this news story was the proliferation of it. I felt was a little bit racist because a lot of what people were doing, where they were like, "Check it out, Bin Laden's niece loves Trump." That means Trump is bad because Bin Laden's niece obviously is also a terrorist.
Right.
That was the implication of the entire story. And you're like, really? You guys think being a terrorist is genetic?
You could fill Wembley Arena with his nieces.
He has 50 brothers. 50 brothers. 49 brothers.
And not one of them, from what I know, is homosexual.
Not to my understanding.
They all have wives.
They all have multiple wives, some of them.
Children.
Honestly, most of Saudi Arabia is his children. So the fact that the fact that they are like so shocked by the notion that somebody related to Bin Laden said anything.
There's got to be a bunch of wackiness going on in that family. But yeah, it is really funny that she's a terrorist.
I felt like it was unfair. Could you imagine? You know, she probably deals with a lot of horrendous things in her life. People reacting so harshly to this, going, "Oh, check out what Bin Laden's niece said." Could you imagine being reduced to the worst thing your uncle ever did? Like, she shouldn't be getting any of that ire from anybody.
I'll tell you, if I was reduced to the worst thing my uncle ever did, I would have never been a preschool teacher. I'll tell you that.
Oh, dude, if I was reduced
never happened
to the worst thing that my uncle ever did, I have an uncle with 2 master's degrees. People would think I'm an academic.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, could you imagine a
Next
worse?
thing you know, hanging in town square.
People asking me questions.
Ugh. Yeah. Wow, you have an uncle with 2 masters?
Yeah, he's the one that nobody talks to. We're pretty mad. As a family, we're pretty pissed at him.
Yeah, I don't have any. There's no college in my family.
We have one super college educated guy, and he was excommunicated from the family. Were those 2 things linked? I don't know, man.
Is he American?
He's Polish. He was Polish. He passed away this year.
Polish?
94 years old.
They're not really known for their. I mean, from the trope, I know. You know, the old timey jokes.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, look,
they weren't really known for academia.
He's an Arab. He got a couple degrees in multiple places. He moved to Poland. He bought a house. He married a Polish woman.
Dude, what an adventurous guy.
Yeah, man.
How many countries you got in your family? Like people living in
3.
Israel, Poland, and United States.
It's just those 3. It really is. It kind of stays pretty. Once you get to the U.S., once you get out of Palestine, you either get to Poland or you get to the United States, and it kind of stays pretty cool there.
It's like a Dumb and Dumber where they think they're going to Aspen and they miss that turn and they end up in the desert.
Yeah, it's not a very diverse. How about yourself?
Countries? I got England.
Do you have
here?
do you have direct relatives in other countries or?
Yeah, but they moved there. My family's been in America forever.
Yeah,
except in Canada. I have a lot. The Vokies they landed in Canada, but yeah, we got Canada, England, United States.
What part of Canada?
Newfoundland.
Oh boy! And so wait,
Goofy Newfies.
Is there a world where do you have like a great grandpa who's like a French Canadian?
No,
I would love it if Brian's great grandpa was a. I would love it if I was watching the sitcom of Bryan and you ran into your great grandpa who's a French Canadian.
Quebecois grandfather.
He's got a pencil mustache.
Oh God, he's wearing a Speedo. His pubes are popping out. God, we used to bully the French Canadians when I was a little kid because they would come vacation, Old Orchard Beach. And, when you're a kid, you look for whatever the most marginalized thing is so you can pick on it. But everybody was white. Yeah. So all we had was the French Canadians.
All you had was you guys were like, we're all white, so let's just find white people who talk different.
With accents.
That's funny. It's funny when you guys all have that agreement where you look at each other and you go, we're all right, so we gotta find something. Is anybody limp here? Or,
yeah, exactly.
Is there anything we can look at somebody? Just the cruelty.
Yeah. Not even. I mean, it's still the same religion. It's just an accent. It's like they weren't even Jews.
When people talk about Bin Laden's niece hating or liking Trump, I also, the other part of that that's confusing to me is I don't really know what they expect of her. She is a child of a billionaire real estate development family. Like who do you think she's going to connect with?
Right.
AOC? Her family's, people forget that part, is that the Bin Laden family run that giant construction company that built the entire Saudi Arabia. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
It's all like if you go to Saudi Arabia, it'll be so weird. You'll see it all over the place. It's like
there's cranes with Bin Laden all over it.
Bin Laden construction company. Like imagine if you went to Germany and it was like, oh, that Hitler plumbing.
Right.
That's wow. He's in the family, of course.
Right.
Not Hitler himself. Not the one you know. This is his brother.
No, you do see Schindler escalators everywhere you go.
Of course. Is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, but see, Schindler's good, I guess. That's like a good-ish, I guess.
Yeah, he was like a good Nazi.
He was like
a cool Nazi.
It's weird because I don't really know the story of Schindler, but I'm like, I feel like the first 85% of his life was pretty rough. But I don't know, man. It's just been the idea that she's expected to have any other belief other than the exact same one as Trump. What do we want?
I don't know. I'm sure there's a bunch of American billionaire real estate developers' children that are in Antifa, from my experience.
Yeah, that's actually...
I mean, I literally went to jail with a strip mall developer, multimillionaire kid from Texas.
Well, I guess at the very least, what I'm saying is at least her belief, her crazy belief, you go like, yeah, at least hers makes sense.
In her article about being MAGA or whatever, she's like, I can't go anywhere without getting yelled at, and all I do is mind my business. And they show a picture of her, and she's wearing like a NASCAR onesie that says "Make America Great Again" in giant letters, Trump. And it's like, can we stop pretending this isn't asking for attention?
Yeah. It's true. She is. But in her defense, as somebody who's came from the cold, like, look, what Bin Laden did was so rough, it made me want to change. I can't imagine having the same last name as the guy.
Right. At least it's spelled differently.
Yeah.
They all spell it differently. In the article, it says it really dismissive, way where they're like spelled various ways.
She actually spells it with an I to differentiate herself. I like the idea that she's going, I have 49 uncles, and only one of them, just one of them is a terrorist.
The ultimate terrorist though, of all time.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? He's number one. He's the Jordan.
He's Jordan.
Yeah.
There's nobody else, man. People tried. Bin Laden was like on lists before people ever even knew what terrorism was.
Exactly.
He was like top in the charts. I remember watching America's Most Wanted. You remember that TV show?
Of course.
Hosted by John Walsh or something?
Yeah.
I remember watching that, and one time he was number one. I remember being like, Dad, this guy's an Arab? And my dad told me all about Osama Bin Laden.
And this is before the Cole or after
way
the Cole?
Before the... Actually, I think it may have been right after the Cole. Cole was what? Like 90? Yeah, so it was after the Cole. So I remember talking to my dad and being like, Dad, this is crazy. An Arab guy is on their most wanted list.
Do you think when they did the USS Cole terrorism attack because they used that tiny little boat that they thought it was Greenpeace?
I don't know anything about the USS Cole other than it happened. Other than Bin
that's
Laden.
a funny observation if you've seen it. The fucking vegans are here again.
And it turned out to be
it was a bomb that they just drove right into the ship.
Is that what they did? Bin Laden got him. Was it a suicide bombing situation or was it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Now I'm scared that I don't know what I'm talking about.
What?
But what I remember is there was like a Greenpeace activist style inflatable boat with a little motor that flew right into the USS Cole.
Yeah, I mean, it's a group of people that doesn't necessarily have an exit strategy for a lot of their operations, so I'm not shocked that it happened. I realized I don't know much about it.
Yeah, dude, suicide bombers are like my comedy. Like, it's all set up, and they're like, there's just no punchline.
Their punchline is, hopefully we can get out of this one.
There's no way to... No, hopefully we don't have to get out of it. That way I don't have to fucking figure this out.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Her sister, Noor's sister, is actually the one that I'm really interested in. She goes by the name Wafa. Wafa, she has a different last name than the rest of them. She actually dated John Legend and Pauly Shore.
Oh, I knew that. I knew that Pauly Shore was dating
one of the Bin Ladens.
And he's probably like, bro, we should have pitched this as a movie about Arabs and Jews getting together.
She dated him. She's the lead singer of a band called Deep Tan, which is actually not a bad band. I'm not going to lie to you. They're pretty
easy to change a deep taint if I saw it on a wall.
Wait, what?
You could change it to deep taint on a wall really quickly.
Oh, so, and that's how, that's a good way.
Instantly what I think of is how could I make this look awful.
I'm essentially going to, I do that with like naming the podcast, naming my son. It's like, how are kids going to just do this with this, you know?
I know, which is weird that you named your son Pin 15 still.
And I thought, I named my kid Osama Bin Laden. All right, this is Deep Tan. This is the
Reminisce Rover.
This is the other daughter.
Hello. Which one is she?
She's the singer.
She's singing and playing guitar.
Yeah.
That's a low shirt.
She's really, I mean, she's something else.
Wow, why is Noor getting all the attention?
Yeah.
And this girl banged to be as cool as Pauly Shore? That's insane.
We disregarded the John Legend. It's funny because online it doesn't actually say that they dated. It says they had a casual encounter or something. Like it says that they just basically went to Bangtown. You know?
Can you imagine? Can you imagine having such a either a legendary family or a legendary dick? Yeah. That if you guys cross paths in the night, that's a Wikipedia entry.
Oh man, what a! I like the idea of Pauly going to meet the Bin Ladens. He has dinner.
Can we see that movie?
No, that's a movie.
Son-in-law 2.
Meet the parents and their 48 brothers.
Yeah, they're like, what do you mean you don't drink Batti? He dresses like one of them and starts to, if Pauly, he would come out like, he would come out like that with long hair.
Chances are all of them love him.
You love him, right?
Chances are all of them, the movie Encino Man is their favorite movie ever. So all of the Bin Laden family absolutely loves him.
Well, he's like Woody Allen. He's like the least Israeli Jew you could ever be.
Oh, they don't mind. Look. When you're in the Bin Laden circles, the anti-Semitism is a lot lower because you're in business.
Right. Oh, right.
You're moving and you're shaking. It's a little bit different.
Yeah, you're right.
The anti-Semitism develops when you're just pissed off and you don't have a job or something. That's when all those guys.
So really it's more women stuff.
It's more women's stuff that I would say is probably an issue where they're from. Although people kept being like those, the Bin Laden. Bin Laden's news is such an idiot, and it's like she probably went to a really advanced Swedish school.
Oh, dude, I mean, listen, the only reason they're doing this is the same reason why they did the Atlantic Journal article we're going to talk about next, is that they're just desperately swinging right now for scandal.
We're looking for something. What happened? I did not read this Atlantic article. What's the gist of it? I guess I kind of have the gist.
So a non-veteran wrote this article about Donald Trump in the Atlantic that really made me excited. And now this story is from 2018, but I guess they've been saving it for an election time.
Yeah,
because it was so juicy or whatever. But for me, it was such a relief because Trump's been such a bummer this year. It just hasn't been funny. And this article is back. It's like vintage funny Trump.
So what's the gist of the article?
It's 4 different incidences where he has just absolutely shit on the military. And every single one of them is really funny. So they were going to go. They were in France in 2018. They were going to swing by a World War I memorial, but apparently Trump was worried that the wind and rain was going to mess up his hair. So he didn't want to go to commemorate the World War I people. And I guess on the car ride over there, he stumbled in twice this week into Noam Chomsky talking points. And it's been fun to watch the left trash him, and I'm like, well, relax. I mean, if you guys are real lefties, he said a couple things that.
It's actually an incredibly fair point. Yeah.
He goes, why were we even in World War I?
I do love when Trump gets kind of indignant, and he's almost like a child about certain things where he's like, what were we even doing?
What were we doing over there?
Do you guys even know about this thing?
What were we doing in World War I? And the writer for The Atlantic, apparently a lefty publication, starts saying that he doesn't even understand why it was so important. And if you read about World War I, it's Woodrow Wilson who got us in there, and it's called Wilsonian idealism. It was the beginning of American imperialism. We were an isolationist country until we decided to jump into World War I, and that's when we started doing these democracy coups. And every bad thing we've done with a foreign war goes back to Wilson getting us into World War I. So him being like, what are we even doing over there is a legit question to ask.
Sure.
And with a real point. But then there's so much funnier shit because he goes, why would I go to that cemetery? It's filled with losers.
Dude, that is brutal, man.
It's filled with losers.
Oh, that's a brutal thing to say.
You know why I liked it?
What is that?
As a veteran, is that this is how every president has treated us with actions. That's what we are. We are losers to them and suckers. They're like, these people will never get to college unless we can, we'll send them to war. And if they come back, we'll put them in through college.
Yeah.
Because we are the sucker and loser class. That's mostly who enlists. I was there. Most of us were suckers and losers. And so to me, it's like, yeah, Obama treated us. He went from 2 wars to 7 wars. He treated us like suckers and losers, but he would have never said that. I love, because at this point, the best you could hope for is a guy who's like, would you rather the guy be like, yeah, I love you, and then shoot you in the back of the head, or just be like, shoot you in the fucking face? I don't know.
This scenario just sounds unpleasant. Who is this guy? Who is this guy? My uncle? What's going on with this guy?
But then he said he was at this guy's funeral, this soldier's funeral, and he's standing next to us. This is a separate incident. These are all 3-4 different incidences.
Where did this guy get this information? By the way, this is all stuff like he was there.
All anonymous sources from. People close to him, so it might be bullshit, but it still made me laugh.
Yeah,
he's at a funeral, standing next to the father of a dead soldier, and it's the funeral of the dead soldier. It's his son's funeral, and apparently Trump looks at the father and goes, "I don't get it. What was in it for him?"
He just cannot. He really does not know when it's an appropriate time.
He is Larry David.
Yeah.
It is the most Larry David thing to say.
This was during a time allegedly before he had done any public office or made any
No,
plans.
this is while he's president.
Oh, God.
He's president doing this.
I'm asking this question. I'm picturing him 23. He said this while he was in office.
He's in office.
No. He's the commander-in-chief.
Apparently they were throwing a military parade. And somebody suggested that they have a section of wounded soldiers.
Now, this is something this is the only part of the story I've heard about. Okay, continue.
They wanted to have a section of wounded soldiers in the parade, and Trump goes, ugh, no. Yeah. No one wants to see that.
This is where I'm going to step in and tell you, Trump, this is where I would actually disagree with him the most, is that, first and foremost, when it comes to a military parade, people, because his whole thing was nobody wants to see amputees.
Right.
Here's my thing. When it comes to a parade, I would like to see an able-bodied person and an amputee person in a parade equally as much. And by that, I mean not
0.
at all.
Yeah. No fucking parade.
Why would anybody do a parade? It's the least.
But don't you think that's part of it where he's like, they sound slow? Like he wants to get it over with. Right. He's like, can we just get, Usain Bolt just with an American flag running as fast as he can?
At least if there are amputees in your parade, there's something interesting going on. There's a story. There's a couple of stories. Let's talk to this guy over here. I just find generally a parade to be the least interesting mode of any sort of movement that has ever existed.
Trump's talking to a double amputee, and he's like, I bet you could lift skirts with those skis you got there pretty nicely. He goes, I should get some of those skis myself.
If I've ever heard anything that I thought Trump would be interested in, it's 2 hook hands. You would think he would think that was awesome.
Right. Ski and the ski legs.
What are we doing parades for? Who is that for?
It's a show of force, baby.
I feel like if I was a veteran, I would say there's a lot of ways you could show your appreciation for me. Pay my cell phone bill. Why do you don't got to watch me walk down the street,
dude? Soldiers are such divas. Like I don't understand why other soldiers need to be thanked at every halftime of every game, before every game, everywhere they go, Veterans Day, Memorial Day, every day. It's just thank you for your service. Thank you for your How fragile are I think you were a fucking soldier.
Speaking of which, we haven't taken this opportunity to state that we at the Worst Hour Nation support our troops.
Some of the worst people I ever met in my life were troops.
Yeah, I mean, in fairness, I feel like some of the worst people you ever met in your life were just people you met in your life.
Right. Well, you sound like a white Black Lives Matter guy to me right now, and I'm like the black guy. I'm like the Republican black guy.
I know.
He's like shitting on Black Lives Matter. And you're like, well, maybe reconsider your position.
I like that. I've never thought I would be this person. Well, obviously, a couple people are probably all right. I'm sure. I mean, listen, I've been a stand-up comic. I can't imagine there are any worse of people,
They're about the same.
Well, that's so...
I've met a few good ones for sure. I've met a few good
here
ones.
and there, but ultimately, I guess the point that I'm trying to make is, I imagine, Bryan. Here's what I imagine. I imagine the life choices that you make have rendered you to meet some pretty a select class of people.
Well, I mean, the military is just the military. When you join, you join. That's who's there. You don't choose who you're around. It's not like they're like, you're a loser. We're going to put you in the loser branch.
I'm going to join the military when I'm like 45.
34 is the cutoff.
Oh, they won't let you in after that? Mm-mm. What if I decide I want to do something, like smart in the military? Like, spy.
You could be a contractor.
Okay. They would hire
contractor.
Me? Do they do civilian spies? Any sort of cool? Can
Most
I get a
of
cool
that
job?
shit's civilian now.
Yeah. That's kind of what I'm looking for.
Any job that can translate to money, they don't do in the military anymore because you don't re-enlist. So, like, all the jobs they offer you in the military are shit jobs now because they don't want you to have any job market skills because you won't re-enlist.
Oh, so if they give you so they're not like engineer jobs.
Like my job directly. If I was like ambitious, my job just from the security clearance I had and the training I had, I could have left the army and gone straight to work for a television company for like $100,000 a year, just the training and skills I had. But I decided to ride freight trains and see the world,
and and tie bandanas around dogs,
and go to vegan potlucks at 6.
Hey, man.
Hey, great to see. I don't regret a thing, though.
It sounds like it was ultimately a pretty decent life.
I don't understand why that's a scandal. The only reason it's a scandal is because why do people think they can sink Trump with a scandal still, though? Like, the left is always like, they bring up this other, they're like, the grabbing the pussy thing. It started with that, and then it kept going through his administration. He did this, he said that. When are they going to learn that nobody cares what he's saying? You know what I mean? Like, maybe just offer some health care or something.
Not these days. I feel like these days, you're right. I feel like at this point, we're beyond caring about any of this stuff.
Could you imagine now in 2020, you being like, okay, now I'm not voting for him.
This
is the thing.
Yeah.
What?
At this point, you were either in or you were out. I mean, it's not. They're trying, but I like the idea that they're trying to sell this this notion that the Democrats are going to be the party for the troops. It just ain't going to happen.
No, it's not going to happen.
I can't see it happening.
I think we're going to get the military vote this year.
Yeah, maybe Al Qaeda.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. Where is Al Qaeda's biggest location?
It was in Iraq. Now it's, I believe,
Afghanistan. Afghanistan.
Look, man, I'm trying to get ahead of the curve on that one. So it's about sort of like almost sounding British when you say it.
I like watching documentaries of like life in Afghanistan, and they always start with "It's the poorest country in the world," and by the end of the documentary, I'm like, "Life there just looks so much better than my life."
Yeah, Afghani life does seem pretty cool in documentaries.
It really does.
Yeah,
It's a lot of.
Well, it depends on which documentary you're watching. And there's some pretty rough ones. Oh, there's some rough ones.
Right.
Oh, there are some.
But just to
ones.
be a simple heroin farmer.
I mean, really,
that sounds really nice.
You could have. That sounds to me like what you were trying to do in Berkeley.
Yeah.
Heroin farming.
I'm trying to undercut Big Pharma, man.
Yeah. I don't even know.
I'm trying to sell hospitals on just using heroin instead of pills.
How does heroin grow?
Opium.
But how does it look? Is it like a grass or is it like a?
It's a poppy. It's a poppy flower. The California poppy is related to the opium plant, but you get it before the bulb flowers.
Okay.
And then you gotta cook that down with the. I don't know how.
Cook it down, put it in some things, and then next thing you know, you.
Wham bam, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
No more anxiety.
I feel like I got this.
Yeah. But you can't just eat a poppy bulb.
I see.
And get taken away.
You gotta get it. It's gotta get hot. You gotta put it.
You can smoke the seeds. I've smoked the seeds before.
That just seems ridiculous. you take the seeds, you put them in like a joint.
Actually, I don't know what I was smoking. I think I told me it was opium seeds. But I'm not entirely sure.
That guy absolutely. It was just watermelon seeds.
Yeah,
he's like, these are opium seeds, dude.
I'm high as shit right now, dude. Everything just washed away. I feel so fucking at peace, man. That's when I learned we were all one.
Okay, just counting your money.
Yeah, exactly.
Bryan, give him $300.
He's like, yeah, man. Yeah, totally. Yeah, we're all one. We are one. That's right, man. If you want some more, you know where to find me.
Speaking of one, this one is torn. Do you have another?
Do you have a better one?
A better dollar bill you give me? I have standard. We're going through a coin shortage, so I like bringing up the coin shortage.
I saw the coin shortage at AM/PM.
Dude, whenever I can.
You know what's funny is I know because you're an energy drink guy.
Yeah.
And I know you're getting your gas at AM/PM. I know that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when I saw AM/PM.
That's how I afford the energy drinks.
Right.
Lower gas prices.
For people who don't live in California, AM/PM is the cheapest gas in California.
Yeah.
It's a chain of gas stations. And they had a sign that said, please use exact change or a debit card because there's a national coin shortage.
Uh-huh.
And I think it's really funny that they're the only business that's out there saying there's a national coin shortage.
Yeah. Well, I've seen it in a lot of places. Speaking of which, to our Patreons, please be sure to use exact this month. If you're our Patreon, please send your paycheck exact change.
Where else are you seeing this? This is like, I feel like this is just your ant trail. This is like, if you live in the Ramsey economy, you're seeing the national coin shortage.
Cricket Wireless, Little Caesars, the 99-cent store. 99 cents was rounding up to $1 even store. Dude, this coin shortage is a serious issue.
Where are you shopping? That's so funny because I don't see it anywhere except AM/PM.
Dude, it's a problem. I'm glad we're finally talking about it.
The national coin shortage.
We've gone through a lot of wacky topics this episode, but this one we're finally getting onto a serious one. Do
you think that they were like the Treasury, like did this on purpose? Do you think they're trying to like sink the coin?
This sounds like a scheme. If I was the chairman of the Federal Reserve, I'd be like, hold on coins, guys.
Let's just round up.
Let's just hold the coins back. I promise you the economy will bounce back on this move.
What are we building ammunition? Like, why are we out of coins? Like, isn't that how that happened back in the day?
Yeah, because they were using the pennies
ships and shit.
Dude, I know that only because several times in my life, my father has believed he found a penny that was worth like $10,000. He's like, he knows the year. He's like, it's 1958. I'm telling you. Several times.
That's my retirement plan too.
It's for years. That was his retirement plan, was finding the right penny. I think it's 1958. They're like, yeah, we were using all the pennies for bullets and.
So what is it made out of copper? It's worth like $1.80.
It's dude. According to my dad, it's $50,000. It can't be true. It can't be true. It cannot be true. It has to be worth at most $3.
Dad facts.
Yeah, it's my dad facts specifically are just he's out of his mind.
You know, there was the buffalo head nickel.
Yeah.
And before they switched from the Buffalo nickel to the Thomas Jefferson nickel, they actually did 6 months of a beaver nickel.
Oh, that's the big one.
Right.
My dad had the book of quarters, and I would just steal them out of there to buy cigarettes in my youth. I don't know what. I guess that was me teaching him a lesson. Like, Dad, these ain't gonna be worth anything.
What are you doing? Why are you putting these quarters in a book?
Listen, man, that book was built for my father.
You know, it sounds like your father was like the target market for Coast to Coast.
Oh, dude.
It sounds like everything they advertised for in Coast to Coast. It sounds like it was like right up your father's alley.
You know, my father would have said if he listened to Coast, he had been like, George Nouri, Lebanese, actually an Arab. So,
right.
You know he's telling the truth.
Yeah, so listen up.
It's a very common Arab trait is that Arabs like my dad, believe that everybody is an Arab. So my dad will talk to me and tell me the least Arab people on the planet are super Arab. He'll be like, Bill Maher? Maher.
It's like, you can say anything with that accent.
Yeah, he goes, listen, Mark Zuckerberg, he's an Arab. He goes, I swear to God, he's Syrian, man. This guy, and every once in a while, he's right.
Right.
He ended up being right about Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs is an Arab?
Steve Jobs' biological father is Syrian. Now, if they had a good relationship, as the joke goes, he wouldn't be referring to him as his biological father.
Right.
So, I think he was adopted by white people.
Right.
So, anyways, well, dude, it's hot as hell. Let's fucking wrap this one up.
Okay.
Be sure to follow the show at Worst Hour Pod across all social media platforms. Follow Bryan at Bryan J. Vokey on Twitter, at Mr. Bryan Vokey on Instagram. Follow me at Ramsbrad across all social media platforms. Email us, worsthouroftheweek@gmail.com. Join our Patreon, patreon.com/WHotW. $5 a month. You get bonus episodes. I mean, people have been, what I love about our Patreons is not only are people joining, but people are so seeing the value of what it is that they're constantly upping their donation.
Yeah, we have real antsy, like, I don't want to say like impulsive.
Yeah.
But our Patreon, like, people like 1 month they're giving 100, then they're down to $1.99, then they're back to 50.
Yeah, they're really, I call that the Patreon index.
Right.
I've got my thumb on what's going on the economy based on what side of the pole they're swinging on.
Oh, somebody just went from 25 down to 5. All right, time to pull out my stocks.
Yeah, things are getting a little rough right now.
That's probably the coin shortage. All right, folks, thank you so much for listening.
On behalf of everybody here at the Worst Hour Nation, peace be unto the prophet.
Long live the 1958 penny.
Coming in hard with the depravity you see. This is the worst hour of the week. Reaching new lows with Bryan and Ramsey. This is the worst hour of the week. The worst hour of the week.
Thank you for listening to the Worst Hour of the Week with Bryan Vokey and Ramsey Badawi. Peace be unto the prophet.